He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello once again, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that's got a big gun where it counts, buddy. I am one of your hosts, John Parker. I'm not going to pretend I have a big gun where it counts.
And here I am to co-host this show for you, for love. It's me, Niall McGowan.
This show is all about love.
Hey, particularly this season, we got the love up the wazoo.
And despite our best attempts to stay PG, I mean, this show has slowly descended into a very erotic program, I would suggest.
I think it happened quite rapidly during Batman Returns, and it stayed there ever since.
Yeah.
You blame Tim Burton for that.
Yes, Tim, you are to blame. I think Tim Burton is to blame for most of my erotic life. Well, Tim, for better or worse, it's all down to you, baby. And Joel, you've got some blame there as well. But we are joined once again, one final time, by our very special guests. It's Alex and Phil.
Nice to see you.
Oh my God.
Here's one thing though, in talking about artworks and whatnot, because I was fascinated to see this, where we get the end of Barbara discovering that Bruce Wayne is Batman, or at least Alfred's Batman, as far as she knows at this point.
Nah, see, I still think that she's like delighted both with her work and the trajectory of like Sweet Al's life. Like he had something going on.
Yeah, that's nice.
Her tune changes from like, I need to get him away from this evil bourgeois asshole, to like, he's Batman. Oh, this is great. We're gonna be chilling here for the rest of my life.
Well, that does change things. Alfred hasn't had a boring, sad life.
How much does she know about Batman at this point? Because as far as I remember, she's not raised in Gotham. She hasn't. She'd been over in England. I don't know how much word of Batman has
Wouldn't
traveled
everyone know
over
about
there.
Batman? I don't know.
Yeah, how noteworthy is it? Like in the Marvel Netflix series, where like you just got people who are superheroes of a relatively small area, or like does the planet know about the guy in Gotham who wears a bat suit?
We see him in this movie that like we were theorizing the other week that the bat signal is on all the time now. It's more used as a tourist trap because everyone comes to because Batman opens like flower balls and stuff now. Like he's a local celeb, so I'd say she probably would have an idea who. Although this is the same time, it's a universe in which Superman exists. So Superman might seem like he's the big cheese of like there's an alien flying around.
Superman is the big cheese, but Batman's the guy that like the hipsters are into, and the Gotham like, no, Superman is like my dad's hero. My dad is like the quarterback on the football team, but I'm angsty. I like Batman.
Yeah, she is a grungy kid, so she was like, oh yeah, I'm a Batman. Yeah,
Batman's cool.
But the thing, and talking about the bat signal though. I'm fascinated to see in this one it has the updated logo of Batman and Robin together, whereas the bat signal, as we'll see, like within the context of this minute, alludes to the fact that the bat signal is just Batman's symbol still. And I wonder if he was just like, I just did this to keep Dick happy. I updated the logo, but I'm not actually gonna put that out.
Oh no! See, I got the impression that this was showing he was planning to do it. I have a positive spin on it.
Well, I think this is Alfred doing this. In the same way that Alfred made Dick a better costume than his circus costume, Alfred's encouraging it, but like I don't know if Bruce has even seen this logo yet, maybe.
The thing when he finally does is like, nope, get that the hell out of here. Why is he in front of me? Why am I in front of the Robin? It's like, because it doesn't work that way, Master. It doesn't look as good. No. Why is it all red?
Master Wayne, because you're the big spoon.
Exactly.
I think it will be more like, you probably did a blue version, and then Dick was like, that's still all Bruce. And he's like, all right, I'll make it red for you then. And he's like, we're not changing the signal. I'm not changing that goddamn signal. No god. And that's why Dick is so surly about it. He's like,
Bruce is like, all right, I can live with red. Blood is red. Fine.
That's goth.
It's compromising.
But he was, well, I will not change. Like, it's a classic. You don't mess with the classics, kid. All right. Like, everyone knows the symbol. If I put up a new symbol, people will be confused.
Oh, speaking of confused, right? We cut to the city streets, and the freeze tank is just casually driving about the place.
Yeah.
That's
so.
What is this?
I found it very strange because people do stare at it a little, but it also doesn't seem like that big of a deal like you'd imagine in real life. I'd be running away. But people are just kind of like, oh, look at that. Oh.
I would too.
It's so odd that he's just casually driving. He's not speeding around.
Well, it's not in the commentary. Joel Schumacher mentions that, like, oh, there it is, beautifully designed, but we could never get this thing to go fast because it was so heavy.
Yeah, but trick it, speed the footage up or something.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm reminded someone made a point that the Schumacher version of Gotham is what Gotham would actually look like if the criminal underworld ran wild and essentially had overrun things. Like, if you want to see that in real life, look at Vegas before Vegas truly went legit. That was a town where basically the mob just came in and let their opulence and their nonsense and their bullshit affect all the decor. And this is this is kind of like a mob town now. So, yeah, no one's going to freak out if he's driving down there because it's just like, oh, look, there's another criminal.
Yeah. We see that every day.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, no, there was a thing in one of the more recent comics. They had, because you see here, there's a restaurant called The Furnace. I'm assuming, well,
I was hoping you'd bring those things up. I was wondering about those signs.
But yeah, because that thing looks insanely dangerous because it's just shooting flames out into the streets, which is like, on the way into town last night in Liverpool, there is a place that has like open flames outside, but it's like well protected. This thing looks like if you walk past, you could potentially get your hair set on fire. Like it's gonna, like, even getting anywhere near that sign, like the waves of heat coming off it.
There is no OSHA in the Gothamverse.
I can imagine the Furnace probably near bankruptcy because you can't get in the door because you have to walk between these two massive flames, and it's so sweltering that no one even tries to get in.
Or maybe every other restaurant is somehow worse. Like, God, at least it's not the Barbed Wire Hotel. Jeez, you know.
So all they ever play is Barbed Wire in the background. I'm sick of seeing Pamela Anderson already.
Hey, Barbed Wire Minute needs to happen.
In 97, no one was sick of seeing Pamela Anderson.
And I genuinely, without irony, love Barbed Wire. I love the way you focused on the furnace because the only one I took notice of was the headroom. Because not only did I think of Max Headroom, but I also thought it sounded a little blue, a little seedy.
Though we're getting weirdly like a character who seems to be influenced by Max Headroom, like in the next couple of minutes, like next week as well.
And also, this building has got it's going back to that aesthetic, that weird Mussolini-esque fascist face aesthetic.
I was wondering if that's not a restaurant, because we do have you have like Gotham Eyes, which obviously call back, of course, to Batman Forever. They drove a helicopter through a giant Gotham Eyes sign. But also, it could be like, is that the opticians? It could be like a Blade Runner place where, like, oh, this is where you buy eyes. Like, this has got James Hong in there. It's like, oh, this is where you buy human eyes. Yeah, of course, that's what happens here.
Well, also like Dune, the Tleilaxu eyes.
Yeah,
which aren't in the first one. If you're a new fan, but
I know that we're a little early for legalization. When this movie comes out, but the Headroom could just be a dispensary run by like an old-time pothead.
That's true, because that's the old term, isn't it? A head shop.
Yeah, it was a head shop. Yeah.
So I was thinking it might be like a place that's where you buy your heads. Like, it's like, oh, you want to make your building look fancy? Put a giant head out the front. Like,
I mean, that's what it looks like for sure.
I think that's what it is. This is where you buy your fascist head.
Yeah, people coming out there with like a trolley, just the head, and it's like, oh man.
maybe since it does look like this is possibly a restaurant, it does look like we see the A-T of eat right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is a head-themed restaurant. Like it's just
Like all the
Do you want
tables
the
are
skull?
like
the
famous people's
sandwich
heads.
is just like the sandwich is just like the cheeseburger is just called like the skull.
Oh, that would be great, actually. Like, a bit like that restaurant in.
Oh, you want the mandible pasta? Yeah, sure.
A bit like that restaurant in China that's all themed on toilets.
Ah,
Didn't Gaz go there?
that's
the guest
interesting.
of the show.
yeah. Did he do a Ginger in Asia episode on it?
I think he might have done, because it's all like the bowls you get your food in. They look like toilets, and like your dessert, you can get like chocolate ice cream in the toilet. I remember people being like, "This isn't appealing."
Yeah. I might just have to break that personal barrier. That might be the point of like, get you out of your headspace.
Yeah,
of,
but
like,
that's the gag, isn't it? It's like, it's funny. Like, enjoy life, people. You have fun.
I kind of like the
I
idea.
know you said China, but that feels like a stereotypically Japanese restaurant.
It's definitely China, but it sounds Japanese.
It sounds like one of those, when the meme comes up, like, God, Japanese people are weird. There's a restaurant that's toilet themed.
I think I wonder because are Freeze and Bane, are they stopping here for a bite to eat? Like that's why they park up here. It's like, oh yes, we go in, we get something in the headroom, and then we go out.
Are you ready, Mr. Bane?
So I really like the idea though. Like all the tables in there are heads. It's all celebrity heads or something. Like, oh yes, you can get this too by the Marilyn Monroe scalp. Yes, I would love that very much.
Oh,
I'll take the Bruce Wayne one.
And in some continuities, Mr. Freeze winds up becoming a disembodied head.
Of course, yeah. Oh, there it goes. It's sign of the times right there.
yeah.
There was a thing in me as well, though, seeing because it's right next to the Skyrockets Lounge, and it's the headroom. And Skyrockets always make me think of the song "Afternoon Delight," which is about casual sex in the afternoon, like skyrockets in flight.
But that song
Afternoon
makes
Delight.
me think of thingy.
Arrested
Arrested Development.
Yeah. Where they realize midway through Michael singing it with Maybe that it's about sex, and he's just like, oh crap. But like having that and then next to something called the headroom is like, Joel, man,
He
get
knows
your
what he's
head
doing.
out.
Joel.
Get your head
Oh,
out,
that
of
Joel.
out of the toilet, man.
Get
Jesus.
your head off head.
Get your head off head. Yeah.
Oh, Joel.
Hey, he was open with his rampant libido.
Yeah.
But of course, though we have a return of Arnold Schwarzenegger here, and as I recall, Phil, you mentioned off mic earlier, you are or were at least an Austrian citizen, so you're the first genuine Austrian we've had on to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you still identify with
You're
being
exactly
Austrian,
correct.
or do you still stick fully to your Croatian?
No, I don't. I don't. But the great thing about it is that I just. I think it's because I am very rusty with my German now. I mean, I can understand it okay, but I can't speak it as well as I used to.
Well, don't
It
worry,
was
I
so
just do it
sad.
on Duolingo. So I'm terrible.
Okay. Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up about Arnold because you guys were talking about him and his accent and where he was from, from Graz. And it's so funny to be able to talk about that because for some strange, like the accent that he has is like, it's very, like that's what you would say. I think you talked about it. Like it's a little bit like countryside.
Like a country bumpkin kind of a, yeah.
It's a hick
like
accent.
a country. Yeah. And it was so great because I think one of the biggest mysteries was when I was growing up, I could never hear Arnold speaking German because he was always speaking English in all the movies. And when he was dubbed, because I lived in Austria, I would get the German dubs of all the movies. Like we watched Last Action Hero on VHS and it was all German. And it wasn't Arnold's voice. I knew that.
Is that because Germans just thought he sounded stupid? Because that's what we've heard.
Well, from what I understand from this, it's kind of what both of you said. It's because his accent is like a hick accent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it would be like for Americans, it would be like if the Terminator was speaking like a country bumpkin, like,
Yeah.
hey y'all, I'll be
Yeah,
back.
no, I can give you an example because for some weird reason, just because I lived in Austria, some kind of osmosis happened where I just was able to just start talking in that kind of dialect. And I can give you a wonderful example. So I just needed something to say. So if Arnold Schwarzenegger, the actor, the character in the film that he would be portraying is, let's say, he's walking, he's going somewhere, and he would say like, I need a tank of gas or something like that, which I don't know how to say in German. Why did I say that? I forgot.
Yeah, pick something you know. Come on.
Here we go. Like, I'm just gonna say, I'm moving forwards. Ich gehe vorwärts. Ich gehe vorwärts. Ja, komm schon, ich gehe vorwärts. And then if you would do it in the Austrian, the one that Arnold would do, da gehe ich vorwärts.
That does sound very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Da gehe ich vorwärts. Ja,
It's more.
genau.
There's more
Das-
like up and down.
Ja,
like,
jo, das ist sehr richtig und korrekt, dass ich so etwas ein bisschen auf Deutsch, aber das ist more viel österreichisch und so spricht man das. Das weiß ich doch gar nicht, aber ja, das ist genau, was wir heute sprechen, ja.
I think now listeners are sitting there like, you're just getting 5 minutes of German audio.
We're becoming a German
so
show
geht
now. I don't
das.
care. Let's do it. Let's do
Ja,
it.
ja, ja. Instead of ich spreche jetzt Deutsch, das ist Deutsch. Du kannst mich sehr okay, also und verstehen. Aber wenn ich doch in Österreichisch dann spreche, dann ist es ein bisschen, es ist so nicht so, also das ist vorwärts. Wie heißt das? Das weiß ich nicht. Nichts. Da geht das nicht.
I love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
There
It's
you
one of
go.
my favorite.
Can you
languages.
have
And
him
that-
just do the next time entirely?
Do it in German?
Yeah, it'd be good, Phil. That'd be great.
Ja, das kann ich doch auch in Deutsch reden, aber ja genau, das kann ich ja.
I feel awful because I try and learn German and my German is so bad. I love it, but I'm bad
German
at
is
it.
difficult.
Learning it is on my list of like things to do because so much of my family is German. Like,
Oh, wow.
within my family tree, there are people named Visa and Dubschutz.
Oh.
And I basically the
Nice.
only German I know I learned from Rammstein songs. So
Hell, that's how I first
like,
learned any. Yeah.
I'm reminded of how once I started to kind of learn British culture a little bit and sort of learn like the difference between like North England and South England and things like that. And thinking about how Americans just think of like British culture as this like one thing, and they like make the sophisticated character have a British accent.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, like that in England, that guy sounds like white trash, or he sounds like, like a gangster. And you just cast him as just like the wise person because he's British.
It is weird the way Americans show you that, because I think, although we're not perfect, obviously, I think we at least get a vague understanding of America, of like differences. Obviously not fully, but
I think American
Yeah.
pop culture is so large and so blasted so loudly that everyone has an idea of what Southern America means.
that's the thing. Yeah,
and
we get what New York
means.
is, we get what the South is, things like this. Yeah.
Yeah, like you may not
Yeah.
understand the difference between like Virginia and North Carolina, but like you understand the difference between New York, Los Angeles, and Texas.
Yeah, and we get California. We know what that's all
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, California.
Also, one other brief thing before we get off the topic of dubs. My wife and I are studying Spanish, and one of the things we're trying to do is just watch movies dubbed in Spanish just to get more exposure to it.
Good thing to do.
If anyone is interested, I will tell you that the guy that they've got doing Thanos in the MCU on Disney Plus has the deepest pipes from hell you've ever heard.
Oh,
Is
sweet.
he just like?
It is fantastic. Yo soy inevitable. Just like
So good.
pipes from hell.
I also discovered weirdly the other day that at time of recording, this is the weekend that Ghostbusters Afterlife has come out,
Yes.
and I know a couple guys who went to see it, and they're like, I walked out before these mid-credit sequences.
Everyone in the cinema walked out except for me because I knew they were coming. Yeah.
Yeah, but like at one point, like one of our friend of the show, Gas Flint, was just like, have you found them anywhere online? Can you send them to me? And I found the mid-credit one, which features Bill Murray.
That's the only one he saw, though, isn't it?
And it's like, but there was one that was dubbed in Spanish. And the guy they had doing, like, oh, Bill Murray, yeah, what you kind of. And he just had this really sexy sounding Spanish guy, like. I
think Spanish people just sound sexy.
It was like watching Spanish Buzz Lightyear again, where it's like Bill Murray had this extra dynamicism about him because, like, oh my god, he's so sexy in Spanish now.
They just can't help it. Like, I went to my dentist once, and the dentist was this Spanish guy, and he was the cheesy, like, sexy Spaniard. It wouldn't have surprised me if his shirt had been halfway unbuttoned and he had a gold chain.
I think I can honestly
perfect.
tell you what it is. Like, we're so used to English, which is a language that's created by just kind of smashing 3 or 4 other languages together.
Yeah, a bit of French, bit of German.
Spanish is so rhythmic.
Yeah.
Like, Spanish flows so well that it's so easy to sound musical when you're reading a recipe, or
same with Italian,
giving someone directions. Yeah, all the Latinate languages that are more pure than English, they sound very musical. It's very easy to speak with a rhythm and to speak like you're reading poetry when all you're doing is, just telling people what you had for lunch.
Well, going back to you mentioning Rammstein and learning your German, I remember there was an interview with Rammstein once because they'd done a song in English. Well, they had some bits in English. A singer had come in to do some like operatic bits, but it was all in English language. And the keyboard player was annoyed. Like, he didn't want to do it. He was like, English is disgusting. I don't want that. But, it sells, so whatever. There was another version where those English bits were done in like Russian or something, and he was cool with that. He's like, "Yeah."
I mean, both of those languages are so harsh.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought you were going to mention the fact that German always sounds angry.
Yeah,
but see, I like that. I like how German sounds, and I like how Russian sounds.
Oh, I do too.
And I like Japanese,
Russian
and
also
that kind of
sounds
has a kind of rigidity. Yeah.
So talking about Arnie talking though, like him and like Bane hanging out and chit chatting on the way there. I'm fascinated to know particularly even just Arnie and Jeep's
nothing.
Like, what the hell?
They didn't talk about anything. Arnie talked. Bane just said bomb. Gun.
You just know he will be like, oh, so you lift how much do you press?
Bane doesn't even, I don't even know if Bane lifts, though, right? His physique entirely came from the venom when he got injected with it. So
it's a critique of steroids in the bodybuilding world.
You don't really know, though, like what Arnie knows of it. At any point has he said to Poison Ivy, like, what's this guy's deal? Like, who is he? What's
your routine? I need to know.
Maybe, but on the way there, he's just like, why are you with Poison Ivy? Ivy. Okay.
Are you two a thing or what? Like, what's going on?
Speaking of actually dragging us back to accents a little bit, is it weird that Bane does not have any kind of Hispanic or Latin American accent?
Yeah, Antonio Diego.
He did. Yeah, I thought he did when he was small.
Yeah, but now he just kind of grunts and goes.
Even when he's he grunts words. Can
you grunt? Like, can you Spanish grunt?
I mean,
there you go.
I mean, they've messed around in the future with giving Bane an accent with varying degrees of success. So they're like,
"What are you saying about his accent, Niall?"
Of course.
But yeah, it's just like the two actors though, because like if you've ever seen Pumping Iron, Arnie's just he's a big bragger. Like, he just likes showing off.
But at the same time, I think he just does it like to get under people's skin.
Oh, the whole reason he was doing it in Pumping Iron was to psych out Lou Ferrigno.
And it works.
Yeah. So I imagine he was probably on Jeep Swenson had a heart attack because Arnie was probably egging him on to work out more or something. It's like, that's nothing compared to me.
I think I remember hearing that Arnie used to do something like that on Predator as well.
Yes.
That he
Yeah, the thing with
Jesse Ventura.
what's his name? Jesse Ventura, and they're measuring their arms.
Well, no, it was so on that movie, like everyone, they were essentially getting into a not official but official competition about like getting to the gym earlier to start their workouts. So like you'd be leaving the gym at 5:30, and the other guy'd be showing up, and you'd be like, "Oh, you're just
that's
getting
with
here?"
Carl Weathers, yeah.
And so he would like just basically get up super early, just like make his face wet. And then, at like 3:30 in the morning, so that he could be walking out of the gym at 3:30 as Jesse's just getting in and being like, "You're just getting in? All right, bro."
That's the thing. Like, I love all these stories about Arnie and how much of an asshole. Like him, like tricking Stallone into doing "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot" and stuff. Like, but like I would hate to like work with him because you just be constantly on edge. You're like, I don't know what I can fucking believe with this guy.
I've heard other stories about him. Like being crappy to like apparently his kids, like he would shut off the hot water if you showered for more than 5 minutes because like, what are you doing? Get moving. Why are you still showering? Get on with your day.
That really to me though says, not in a good way, but it says about his upbringing. He was a poor guy from the countryside. It's like you got to save that water.
Yeah. He also
it doesn't matter that he's now rich. He doesn't get it.
I think Arnie seems to me like he's a person a little bit like, I guess, drawing more wrestlers into this with Jeep Swenson there and so on, a little bit like John Cena, a little bit like The Rock. He is someone who is obsessed with going and with doing stuff.
Yeah.
So and I think with his kids, he was trying to like instill that in them, like, no, always be doing stuff. Don't be, don't shower for half an hour. Get on with your day.
Efficiency.
We did talk too about like when he was growing up, he was constantly in competition with his brother because his father openly preferred his brother.
It's Boromir and Faramir.
Yeah, and it was just like, the brother was always this like high watermark that Arnie was reaching to, but he was never going to succeed because his dad was just an asshole, basically. But yeah,
if I should return, father, think better of me.
It was like Arnie's dad sitting eating the cherry tomatoes and stuff.
That's how Arnold's dad died. He set himself on fire.
Oh.
I'd feel awful if that is how he died now. I've said that as a joke.
I don't know.
Oh no.
There's no way to on set as well, because this line here of like, no matter what they say, you, Mr. Bane, it is the size of your gun that counts. And like, that is that's Arnie's actual belief as well.
Oh yeah. He's probably saying that. That's not in the script. He's just doing it. Like,
because he is the guy. Like he openly talked again on Predator. Was saying like him and Stallone and everyone else was in like the positions of like every movie, their guns had to get bigger to beat the other guy. So that's why in Predator he has a friggin' helicopter gun that he's going.
That big chain gun.
He did, but originally it was that was Jesse Ventura's gun.
But then the Arnie would be like, "No, I'm digging it now."
Yeah.
Then he went to Terminator 2, and that happened.
Like it makes sense that the Terminator can carry and fire it. You're like, okay, fine, the Terminator is a robot.
Yeah,
trust me.
A human being it worked.
Here's a question though, because again, these guys are parked outside restaurants. Does Bane need to eat, or is he just entirely sustained by the venom now? Like,
I don't think Bane needs any because Bane, actually going back to the MCU, because I was thinking about one day like why Steve Rogers is running at the beginning of Winter Soldier. We see in the MCU that Thor clearly needs to work out to keep his physique, right? Because he gets out of shape in the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
Whereas Steve Rogers suddenly goes, because he takes the serum and gets exposed to the Vita rays, he just suddenly becomes swole. So it does not seem like Steve Rogers needs to work out. He was running because he just wanted to go running. I think because Bane similarly just suddenly took the voodoo science and became swole, I don't think Bane needs sustenance.
No.
At most, he needs more venom.
He might want to eat, but he doesn't need
He might want to, but he does. I don't think he certainly does not need to consume the kind of caloric intake that Jeep Swenson would have needed to.
He would have to be eating
to
like 6 chickens a day, like to keep that up. Like it's insane, but like. And also made me think too, because I saw during the week that apparently Mike Tyson says that he smokes toad venom. Like 3 times a day. He will like, it's what calls like the Santaran toad or something. It's one of these ones that you're supposed to lick
This
And
doesn't
it'll-
surprise me about Mike
Phantom
Tyson these
Toad?
days.
Yeah, but he's like, 3 times a day now. Apparently, he says it's changed his outlook on life. Basically, he's tripping balls all the time. It's like, I
That's
imagine
not a good thing.
when I read that, I was like, I wonder if you licked Bane's arm because he's oozing so much venom. All the time.
man.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing here, it seems like it's some sort of a psychedelic or something.
I was going to say it's like it's licking a Bane toad.
It
Oh.
wasn't that exciting, like, because the venom coming out of poison ivy is if you licked Bane, maybe that's what, like, he's just not realizing he could utilize that as well. If he kissed people, maybe he could kill them too.
I want Bane going around just snogging people. Yeah.
But for some reason, or like he gets them to like have a psychedelic freak out or something. Like,
That's
And
funny.
then it goes all Cheech and Chong. Okay.
anywho, we do of course then get something somewhat new. The Robin signal is now up in the sky here. And
That confused me, right? Because it doesn't look different enough. If you're not really paying attention, you're like, it's a bat signal. I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah,
I look-
that's true.
So, how long has this Robin signal been cast? Because Bruce is still in his suit, or tux. Robin has had time to completely dress.
How long does it take them to dress? That's a good question. Is it a 5-second job? Is it a 50-minute job?
I mean, I've got to believe it's quick, because if you're responding, if presumably if the bat signal's going up, it's somewhat of an emergency. So you've got to be able to quick change.
I agree, but it looks difficult to get in and out of these things.
I think the whole scene, cause it looks very briefly like Bruce is looking out a window, which is confusing. But no,
Yes.
it's this giant screen. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just got this clip on loop.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I
outraged.
thought it was a window.
It was in the Batcave.
It's a window, but the Batcave is underground. What's it a window on? That.
Yeah, but what I would have loved to
Yeah.
have happened in this scene, though, is that they do a recreation of that bit in Batman Returns when the bat signal first goes on and sets off the little things in Wayne Manor, and Bruce Wayne sitting brooding, and he stands up and the bat signal's behind him. But it's just Clooney standing up, and then he just turns around, and is like, "What the hell?" It's like a giant Robin instead. It's like, Dick, what the hell? What's going on, man?
Or the signal
like
goes
that.
up, and Bruce looks at it and goes, "Wait, Dick, it's for you."
Like, well, guess I'm not needed. Just puts his feet up again, gets out the paper.
Yeah. And then there's a shot where Robin goes out and then Bruce is like just following him. And then behind him is this distracting radar. This green, I'm sorry, I'm watching this on loop, right? And it just looks like the dragon radar from Dragon Ball,
Yes, holy crap.
right?
I see it, I see it. You've changed my outlook on this scene.
It's supposed to be one of those things too, of like, what's that radar
Right.
for? Oh, it's nothing. Like, it's just one of these like, it's busy set decoration. Just put something there.
Where's my giant penny and T-Rex?
Exactly. When someday, still, I'm thinking Robert Pattinson ain't getting that giant T-Rex. That's just not gonna
There's
happen.
no chance.
As I just gave it the 503 watch here while we're talking, I think I figured out what the scene really is, though, because
What?
it's the kid sneaking back into the house after going out all night.
Oh, yeah.
But his parents are aware, and they're just, they're standing there in the dark waiting for the light to turn on so that they can, scold him for it. He saw the Robin signal's been up for 5 minutes while Dick is getting dressed. Bruce saw it, and he's just standing there in the cave. He's like, I know you're going to come through here, so I'm going to chew
Yeah.
you out once you get through the door.
Hello, son.
I'm
Where
not
have you
going
been?
to hold this conversation with you while you're in your underwear trying to put your costume on.
But we'll say though, there's a the way that this all plays out in the novelization and the script is there is different things afoot here. Bruce has been in this cave for a while, because we mentioned that whole scene of him and Alfred actually is supposed to occur much earlier in the movie, and what would have been in place of that scene is a bit where Bruce goes down to the cave and he's just completely lost, and CGI Max Headroom Alfred comes on for the first time, and actually helps him crack the whole Pamela Isley thing, because Bruce is just like, I can't get my head straight. I keep thinking about women, and Alfred's like, oh, what do you mean, sir? And he's just like, well, there was Poison Ivy, and now there's this Pamela Isley person, and she had the same effect on me. And then Alfred's basically like, well, maybe it might be the same woman.
Think with your other head, sir.
Exactly, yeah. And he basically gets up what he should have done ages ago. Like, when that woman threatened me in a whole room of people, I'll get up her research because she used to work for me. And he notices like it's all about pheromone extract and DNA splicing with plants and stuff. And he's like, wait a minute. It was poison ivy the whole time. So he was down here waiting for Dick to come along eventually because he was already in. He's always waiting for Dick, this guy.
Aren't we all?
But it wasn't the novelization, because they obviously try to fix a lot of stuff. They do a great job in this scene of trying to salvage Dick Grayson, because there's a whole thought process going on.
We've had the goddamn author on who openly admitted he was trying to fix the movie.
I know. I was so excited with that episode. Anyway, continue.
It's giving a rationale for Dick's thought process as to why he's behaving. Well, he's just horny for poison ivy, but it adds a little element in here because it comes into his thought process is like, what kind of a friend hungers after your woman? He's thinking about Bruce here. Like, he demanded an answer with silent fury. What kind of mentor tries to poison the best thing that ever happened to you? Why couldn't Bruce just be happy for him, for God's sakes? Why couldn't he, of all people on earth, understand how good it felt to be loved again, really loved, and to have someone love him in return? So this is like what, Ivy's appealed to his loss as well. Wow. But like she loves, he's got nobody except for this asshole who keeps bossing him around, but she loves him. And that's kind of like, it's adding a little element more. It's not just like he's horny for her. Yeah. It's that she's actually like filling a void in his life. And then he goes into...
wants him to fill her void.
Oswald Cobblepot lives again. But yeah, then it goes on to be like, there have been moments though, hadn't there, when Bruce seemed to open up to him, when he treated him like an equal. There have been times when they shared a joke or an appreciation for something. But Dick shook his head. It was hard for him to remember, hard to separate truth from distraction. When he tried to recall the good parts of his stay with Bruce, when he tried to imagine him as something other than a selfish tyrant, something happened. All he could think about was Ivy. And it's really getting into like how the poison, how the toxins are working away in his head. And actually it adds in a bit it's not in the script, but like he starts thinking about Alfred and how Alfred genuinely does seem to have affection for him. He has no beef with Alfred. And then he starts to mourn the fact that Alfred is sick. And they actually he comes in, he's not in the Robin suit in this point in that story. And Bruce and Dick start talking about Alfred. And like he kind of goes back to normal because he's talking about like a genuine affection for the old man. And then as soon as he sees the Robin light, he starts thinking about Ivy again. And then he launches into the whole like, yeah, she's doing it for me, for love. Like he gets more and more violent. Just the mere idea of her snaps him back into place again. And he turns into an asshole once more. But it was a really good example of like how Ivy is working on him and how the pheromones are actually affecting him. And
would all of that work better if Dick was a more comic accurate age? If he wasn't a man like he clearly is in this movie? If this was a 16-year-old?
That would be fantastic. Everything with Dick in this would be improved by him being younger.
Oh yeah, all the time, every day.
Yeah. Although you think like as a rational adult, I guess if he had been in any way more of a palatable character from the get-go, and then the change to him being an asshole would have been more, more of a story point. But it's like from the get-go, he's like, I hate this guy, and now I continue to hate him. So
or maybe the discord would feel more like, okay, this is clearly the influence of poison ivy. If they were clearly like working really well together at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
The fact that they start the movie and they're already kind of at each other's throats.
Yeah, there's no change.
It doesn't feel like, oh, she's driving them apart and influencing them with pheromones. It's like, these two were already about to start.
It's like she's given the most minor of nudges.
He's already got tickets for Bloodhaven booked. Like,
and it would make more sense that he falls for her so easily if he was like 16. Yeah. Because of course a 16-year-old will fall for this sexy older woman,
Yeah.
who makes him feel like, oh, I'm a man now.
One thing I really hate about the finished product, though, and again, it's not in the script and it's not in the novelization, but they say, like, he says, that's not a bat light, it's a Robin signal. And no one has ever called the bat signal the bat light before.
I've never heard that in my life.
It seems like it's a botched take because in the script and the book, he says it's not a bat signal, it's a bird call.
That makes more sense.
Which is, it's a better term. The Robin signal is the bird call. It's like, there you go.
But
Great.
really, it's a booty call from Ivy, right?
Yeah, I mean, this production is not one where the details were minded in that way. So
Yeah. I think it does really feel like he messed up that take, and
it
like,
does,
"Oh,
yeah.
fine."
And no one caught it, and or there wasn't time to go back and fix it.
We'll move on. It's fine.
I'm actually going to go with no one caught it because I think if there was time to, I think if someone did catch it, this movie they would have just had him ADR it, even though it wouldn't have matched up his words.
It wouldn't have matched.
His lips wouldn't have matched it at all. They would have just had him dub it over.
Yeah.
I think it's like the ridiculous amounts of this movie are ADR'd anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it would be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like that freaking bit of like, Mr. Freeze is like, oh, the billions, I need to continue my research. And like, but with the forever in Gotham's like, that's a close up of the guy's face and it's not sinking to his lips.
Oh, I really love Bruce as well, trying to explain about the pheromones to him here, where he's like, she wants to kill you, dick.
Yeah.
It's that little pause. That little pause says it all.
It's my favorite.
That's 100% Clooney as well. That's not like he's like, you nearly done 2 movies, this guy, and he's not called him dick as an insult at any point. You realize you can get away with it, right? Because you can fly that under the radar. Yeah.
So he's not doing anything wrong. It's just that slight pause changes the sentence.
Well, you think Dick Grayson would be used to it, though. He's like, dude, don't ever use my name with that inflection ever again.
Dude,
okay?
I mean, honestly, though, by this point in time, if your name is Richard, you're not going by Dick.
No. When did people stop doing that? Like the 60s, maybe?
It's too young for it's too early for someone to do that, ironically, and it's too old for someone to do that with a straight face. Yeah.
Although I did weirdly look up, I tried looking into like the origin of why Dick became a slang term for the penis. It's one of those simple things where it's just like it was like like John Thomas or Willie.
Netflix had that whole series on the origin of curse words. One of their episodes was on Dick, I think.
Yeah, but it's just like so they have a whole thing. It was like, oh, it's just a man's name. It's a thought of back then as a classically male appendage. And so it became, Richard, Dick, that Dick becomes a slang term for penis and whatnot. I did find out apparently the first use of it as an insult is actually only dates to the 1960s, where it was used by Norman Bogner in his novel Seventh Avenue. And that was adapted into a miniseries in 1977, starring one Eli Wallach, who of course played Mr. Freeze in the Batman 60s TV show. So # everything's bizarrely connected.
Wonderful.
Gotta get one in an episode. You know the deal, Phil.
Wonderful.
You've been there.
I listen to the podcast. I know the deal.
That's going to be a T-shirt now. I listen to the podcast.
Although, again, though, it is very much like that's Clooney's note of like, I'm not going to not say it like this because the temptation, even though in this situation we were trying to cool down Dick Grayson, he would be like, that could set him off even more where he's like, oh, she's trying to kill you.
I've got to think maybe this is something late enough in the production that Clooney figured out what kind of movie he was in, and he's like, look, I can throw in whatever line reading I want. They're not looking at my line reading.
I think it fits the scene though. I know what you're saying, Niall.
It does fit the scene.
Yeah,
I think it
like
does.
Okay, he wants to calm him down, but both of them still are being affected by the pheromones. I know Bruce is aware of it.
He's aware
it's still
of it
happening.
now, yeah.
It's still getting to him. He's fighting it, but it's getting to him. It's
It could also be that Clooney was like, oh, he messed up that bird call line. They won't use this take. I'll call him a dick blatantly. I'm like, oh no, they used it. No. Well, I slept that one.
Well, in the film, I mean, Robin isn't happy, is he? He storms off. He's angry that Bruce would say anything to have Ivy for himself. How dare you?
I was going to go down to Tosh Station and pick up some power converters.
Literally one of the greatest lines in cinema history.
But should just, though, for the sake of putting a pin in it and calling it done, they'll finally put it together that Pamela Isley is Poison Ivy, even though it's just like, Bruce, remember the last time a bespeckled former employee like berated you in front of people and turned out to be
You
a
guys got
massive
so
threat.
Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Just like as soon as she came up to you, you'll be like, Alfred, get me up the information on that woman. She used to work for me. Oh, look at all this stuff she's doing. That's a bit like that poison ivy lady. Boom, there we're done. And well, you know, she looks exactly like her, for Christ's sake.
No, she doesn't. She's wearing glasses. They look nothing alike. And look at how this woman is dressed. That woman isn't dressed like that at all.
I seen actually there's a YouTube video you can get where they show you in detail the bodice that Ivy's wearing early on. And it was weird because when we had on Disaster Arena, they were going on about like how simple and basic an outfit it was. And in this video, they're going on about like all the level of detailing in the rhinestones and like, oh, this would have taken people months to complete this and stuff. It's like, yep, didn't come across on screen. But in that though, they show you some concept art, and apparently like those little leaves things above Ivy's eyebrows that started off as a mask. She was supposed to have a full-on leaf mask around her whole face to kind of make it a little less obvious who it was. And I guess throughout production, they would have been like, well, you know, we got Uma Thurman. Like, she's really beautiful. Maybe we
show the
shouldn't
pretty
cover her.
lady.
Yeah. It was,
Also, I like the eyebrows. It just gives it's just something I've not seen before or since. I don't think.
yeah, they never worked it in again. There's a lot of elements that are actually really great about this Poison Ivy that they just drop. I guess because they're just like, no one wants anything to do with the movie. So
I know, it's always that knee-jerk
It's a
reaction.
shame.
Yeah.
so of course, because Batman and Robin is reviled as one of the worst movies ever made by some people, we're asking the guests what their worst movie they've ever seen is. So Phil, you sound like you're ready to to fall asleep any second, so you may well go first.
Oh no, I've been wondering this. Okay, so as you all know, because this is a very long episode, maybe the longest one in Batman and Robin. By the way, Niall, I can just take this as my little Apple box. What do you call that? No, soapbox. There we go. A little soapbox just to explain. You said Bat Minute Forever in one episode, and I was just like, I wanted to correct you, but I couldn't.
Did that make the
No,
cut?
it was a recording and it was in the past.
You know what, Phil? I did note that when I was editing, and I was like, I hope nobody noticed.
I remember too, because I was walking out. It was foggy at night, and I was just in the dark night. I was walking around, and it's just that minute.
Wait a
forever.
minute.
What the hell's that?
What is this, 2020
This
again?
isn't this. No, this doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how could
I'm
it
just
not
stalling-
be Bat Minute Forever?
Oh.
Forever. It's in the title.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I've been racking my brain about this question because, as you know, I listen to the podcast. So I knew that I was going to be on at some point, and I still couldn't give you a concrete thing to answer with, which is, are we talking about the one that I hate that everyone loves, or the one that I love that everyone hates?
We can do both at the same time if you want.
I don't know. Well, the one that I hate that everyone loves, and I was trying to figure this out. So please forgive me if my declaration is not as passionate or as clear as other people's on this, because there were some incredible answers, right? Like very unexpected ones throughout the episodes that I've heard. But mine isn't that incredible because I was really trying to think of it, because I used to, when I was younger, being a very go and do it movie making type, I really was critical with movies back then. I would tell you, oh, this is crap, this isn't good, this one's good, but this one's
We've
bad.
all been there.
Yeah, and you do that when you're in your teens, honestly, I think. And now I'm just so like lax, I really don't, I don't care so much anymore, I think a lot of us kind of share that kind of same sentiment. And that being said, the only thing that currently, just right now, boils my blood, or at least gives it a little bit of a heat, just heats it up a bit, is the Jurassic World films.
Oh.
And
I quite like
hate
the first one.
No.
Yeah.
That film.
No, I'm on your side, Phil. I hate. Yeah.
Oh man,
Both
okay,
of them.
dude, like when it came out, 2015, when it came out, I actually enjoyed the film.
Same.
I liked it. I was like, this is great. I liked all the references. I liked how funny it was, and it wasn't bad. I mean, like I was entertained, and at the end I was like, it's dumb, but I loved it. I loved because of all the Jurassic Park stuff that I loved when I was younger. Now the funny thing about that is that thing wears off really fast, and then I'm watching it, again, and I watch it again, and every time I do, I actually get angry at it.
Oh no, I've only seen it 3 times, so never again, yeah?
Yeah, just try not... I mean, do it. Maybe you'll not like it and you'll join the club. But I've watched it, quite a few times, and it gets dumber, and it gets more and more, like, just... It's like it deceived you, it tricked you. and then the second one comes out. And I think what makes it worse is that everyone really, really liked it because it made so much money. You know what I mean? Like, it was that popular. And I'm just so angry because it doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, it's like childish. It's like so childish. And it's like, you think of the first movie and then you think of the book. And then you're just like, it was so mature and it was so like plausible and dark and not in a way that I don't mean like Zack Snyder dark. I mean, like, it was just
actually dark.
Yeah, it was also actually dark because there's a scene where they don't even see the T-Rex in the storm. Is wonderful, and just to turn it into this and people saying this is so great because they're dinosaurs. I can't anymore.
I think
and
people
I love
were just
dinosaurs.
happy that it wasn't like an absolute disaster, to be honest.
I know, but like it just doesn't have the tone. And then the second one comes out, and it's even worse.
Right, the second one I have only watched 1 time, and the only thing I remember is that sad bit where the dinosaurs are like standing there waiting to die.
I hated that so much.
That's the only bit I remember, and that bit moved me,
know.
but nothing else is stuck in my brain. I don't know any
Oh,
other
it was
scenes.
so bad. Like, I'm just getting heated up right now. Because
The
everybody
thing I
likes...
remember about Fallen Kingdom was that I was like, oh, at least it made me aware of Daniela Pineda as an actress. Like, I like her. And then I realized that I already knew who she was from Mr. Roosevelt. I was like, oh, so it's just lost its only reason to exist now. I actually do just hate this film.
And now nobody likes Chris Pratt anymore anyway, so there you go.
Yeah.
So
he's gone. He's out.
You're out, Chris.
And as for a movie that I love that everyone else seems to hate, right? This is what we're going for.
Yeah, that's the assignment.
That was the assignment, and again, this is really weak because I'm sure there is one movie that I love, because there's a lot of films that are generally kind of, objectively quite not well made, but there's always something positive that I can derive from it.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that entertains me so much and they suck, but I love it. And I don't care what anyone else thinks about it. I love it, and I am aware it's bad. But I really couldn't think of anything, so I really apologize. Like, once we finish recording, I'll be like, wait, But in this case, at the moment, all I could think of is all the Planet of the Apes sequels, the originals.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
All of them. Escape is fantastic. That's not even. I'm not even bringing that in.
Is that the
no one
third
doesn't
one?
like
Yeah.
that. Third one, yeah.
That's the one. That's actually might be actually better than the first one.
Yeah, no, dude,
the third
that
one.
thing is like, I rewatched them recently, and that is like it's such a huge like neck and neck.
I
with
even like the
those two.
second one though, and that's like
Yes,
like a
yes!
goddamn horror movie or something.
Yeah, the second one is so like, it's weird, and it's not even like, honestly, it's not a very entertaining watch. It's like it really meddles around.
Yeah.
It's such an epitome of 1970s sci-fi.
It feels like a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, and it ends on like the darkest,
Yes!
most sour note possible.
But that's what I love about it. I love the ideas it put into it, And then the fourth one, Conquest, that is nuts. And then the fifth one also,
It's fifth one.
I still
War?
love it. War, yeah. No, battle for the
Battle for the
And that one is very, it's like, it's ho-hum, but it's still, all of them, I just really, really like them all, because they all seem to have something where they're bringing in ideas. And this is what I feel like older movies were very good at. I always get inspired by older movies, before the 70s, more so than I do modern movies after the 70s. Because like before, if they would do something science fiction, they would bring out the idea, which would be so fascinating. And then they would bring, and they would have something to say with it, even though it's not to our modern standards of like, of entertainment or modern standards of like being inspired by it at face value. if you know what I mean.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the bad movie that I love because I think I misread half the assignment, so I got to finalize my thoughts on the other thing.
Got a lot of time.
Okay.
Bad movie that I love, I'm going to say probably Jason X.
Hey.
Wow.
It is trash, but it is beautiful trash.
I think that's one of the ones me and Niall have watched together while drunk, in fact.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, I know you're already in a Friday the 13th movie, so you're already kind of in the realm of trash, but that movie knows that it is silly and stupid and sexy for no reason, and it just is... I love it.
Hell yes. I am on board with that. Any of those movies. Loads of them are trash, but they're all great.
That's the
They
one.
are,
That's
they are, but like the thing is, like the first 4 Friday the 13ths are all kind of the same movie.
yes.
But I have
They're
no
all-
problem with it.
Well, no, but they're all kind of the same movie. Jason X is just different enough. Like it has a bit where it tries to be aliens, and like it's just different enough. Like they clearly tried one or two things here. You know, love it.
yeah.
As for one I hate that everyone else loves, part of me
Well, it's more than
wanted-
just one that you just outright
Yeah.
hate. Like no one else has to love it.
Well,
by any
no.
means.
I'm going to here. I originally wanted to say Spaceballs, which I've ranted about on
Wow.
other podcasts.
Wow.
I'm casting that as my honorable mention because it clearly is not made with any love for Star Wars. I contrast it with like the first Family Guy Star Wars that they did, where clearly everyone who made this loves Star Wars and is taking joy in poking fun at the things that they've talked about with their friends for the last 20,
Oh,
30
totally agree.
years.
And I don't even like
You know.
that Family Guy Star
Yeah.
Wars, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Family Guy Star Wars was made clearly with tons and tons
Yeah.
of love and reverence for the source material, and Spaceballs was like made as a cash
I was like,
grab,
oh, we
basically.
can like make some jokes out of this, right? Yeah, okay. Even though
yeah. We can make fun of that's
he
popular.
clearly
right?
didn't understand any
Yeah.
of what the jokes
Yeah.
even were.
Yeah.
It's,
Well-
it's
well,
the scary
I-
movie sequels before
Oh,
they even
yes.
existed.
Yeah. I put that forward as my honorable mention. This is almost going to be kind of a sad way to end the week. The movie that I now cannot stand, and it's because of the podcast on it, is Independence Day.
Oh, what? Oh no! In part because our podcast wound up focusing so much on inaccuracies and the things that they screwed up and the ways that the geography makes no sense and the technology makes no sense and the chain of command makes no sense. It's just so hard for me to separate that movie from all the ways that they got details wrong and got things wrong. I can't watch it anymore. This is like the first time. This is like the first massive negative of doing a movies by men. It's like, no, it actually ruined the movie for me. This is
Wow.
terrible.
It did.
Yeah,
it,
like
it
doing
truly,
this-
it ruined the movie for me.
This
This has improved all the Batman ones for me.
This is like I have nothing but love for it. Going back. It's like I'm almost more fun now. It's like I remember
it's-
doing the show, but
Wow.
Yeah, I can go back and watch Galaxy Quest. I can't go back and watch Independence Day anymore.
oh man,
That's
So it was like
incredible.
the last episode, just you like from hell's heart. I step at the post.
Hey, all you need to do to wash that taste out of your mouth is watch the sequel.
Oh, I've watched it. It's ghastly.
I don't even consider it a movie. It's a bunch of scenes happening
Yeah.
before me.
yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
but I can understand though your build up there to being like a negative. But hey, we all still love Batman and Robin here. Right?
Yes, of
So,
course.
Yes, on that downer, let us head off into the dark night. One last time, then, would you both like to tell people where you can be found online or promote something? Alex, you can go first this time because Phil went first last time.
Yeah. So Galaxy Quest Minute and I guess Independence Day Minute if you want.
Well, that was a great plug, man. Now
Yeah,
I'm
it's a great
just
plug.
very curious.
No, honestly, Independence Day Minute is a lot of fun.
is
As
great.
long as you ignore the fact towards the end that my spirit is broken. But
That's why I want to listen to it now.
Yeah, now people need to tune in to hear the downfall.
That's
of
what
a
I meant.
man.
Yeah.
here's someone who is tired of nitpicking explosions. Yeah, check those things out on a podcatcher near you.
Phil, do you have anything you'd like to promote? The same thing or something else? Whatever you like.
Yes, I do. I may have bigger for you. I'm promoting our podcast Twofold, which is twofoldpodcast.com, all one word, where me, Phil, and my co-host and real-life cousin, Tim, who is a photographer and graphic designer and stuff, we just talk about movies. We talk about 2 movies. Every week we talk about a new movie and an old movie. And we just kind of just hang out. That's basically it. We just kind of chill out, hang out, and, just discuss these 2 movies we talk about.
I think they're the best kind of shows.
Hey,
the ones where
thanks.
it's like, where you tune in and it kind of makes you feel like you're sitting around a table with your friends.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for, basically, because we already are friends. I mean, we're lifelong friends, me and my cousin, obviously, because he's related to me, right?
Hey, you say that, but I haven't seen my cousins in about 20 years.
Oh,
so there you go.
wow. And I do want I do want to end this, if I may, by doing another little bit of German from Batman and Robin in Arnold's more or less natural Austrian accent in German.
Do it.
So here we go. Der Eismann kommt. And then the cop comes in, he goes, Bitte, haben Sie Mitleid? Mitleid? In meinen Zustand lässt mich euer Mitleidsgejammer kalt. Nein! And then he gets frozen and he goes, in diesem Universum ist nur eins absolut sicher. Alles gefriert. Thank you.
I kind of want you to be the guy who dubs all of Arnie's movies.
Wouldn't that actually? Now that you mention it, this first time I tried it, and I'm like, you know what?
You're nailing the voice, let me tell you.
Thanks.
Hell
In
yes.
German.
Well, that was beautiful. And check out all those shows mentioned. And as usual, come and speak to us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that nonsense. And I don't know, what should we plug? Go to Patreon. Look up the Sleepy Charlie Media Patreon, where you can get bonus, wonderful goodies for next to nothing. And we'll be back on Monday with new guests and more Bat Minute and Robin.
Batman and Robin.
Next time, brothers in arms, Bruce beseeches Dick to think with his head and put his obsession with the bilious babe of Boutonniere to bed. But as a paladin's plea seems to finally hit, which ice cannon-armed Austrian is back on his bullshit? An avalanche of Arnie arrives on Monday, Bat fans. Same Bat Pod. Different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.